Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited and delighted to be here. And at the same time, I'm a little mortified that I have to deliver a keynote address in an area which I'm not native of. And I'm talking to a set of experienced professionals who have tons of experience with them. But you know, sometimes an outsider perspective helps. An outsider perspective helps. And what I think is I'll try my best to ensure that you have something to take away. The railways network modernization story begins a bit with RailTel, the organization I'm part of. So how our different, unseemingly different paths have converged here today, I'll have to tell you, take you back to what RailTel does. Around 2000, RailTel was formed with the idea of modernizing railways telecom, as well as converting a cost center into a business center. Over the years, we built up our network, we rode the mobile telecom boom, and we quickly became profitable. But you know, as the telcos started running their own networks, started building their own networks, our growth plateaued, and we were thinking, what can we do now? We have optic fiber network along the railway station. We have enough capacity in the station, but we don't have an access network, and spectrum is very expensive. So how can we stay relevant? So we tried different things, and one of the things we tried was to build a broadband in a collaborative model with local entrepreneurs, but that was growing very slowly. Another thing which we thought is if we can't get to people, people are coming to the stations. How can we make a difference there? And so the idea of station Wi-Fi network was born. And it was quickly appreciated, and it became popular. So we started growing that network. But we knew always that this was not sustainable. How do we sustain? Now we have a network, we have high capacity, we have Wi-Fi in the station. What new value can we bring? And from that thought process evolved several ideas. One of them, of course, is the railway display network. We have the content on demand. We have VSS, the video surveillance systems, the IoT at stations, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is how we end up being on a path here today. And we were a very convoluted path, actually. But it's an interesting start, and I thought I should share this journey with you. OK, so I'm sure you all know more about media and digital OH and everything. So you know, I should try to bring a different perspective. You know, today, all media are always trying to sell their relevance, and media buyers are constantly trying to make out whether they're getting a bang for their buck. And I think, you know, when we talk about OH or digital OH, I think we need to do, in my opinion, digital OH plus. We can do much more when it's digital. It's just not connected. It's just not video. We can do much more. So my take on this is we have to leverage digital in a very broad sense. Digital is digital in a small way, but digital where you talk about social, we talk about mobile, we talk about cloud and analytics, that digital. And platforming, you know, if you see the last decade, or the last few decades, I would say, have been time for platforms. Platforms are dominant everywhere. They have toppled industry after industry. You know, you all know it, but I'll just have to say this thing. The largest taxi service provider does not have a car. The largest accommodation provider does not have a single property. So this is how platforms are growing. And we need to find out, when we are talking about huge numbers, how we can build platforms to connect different stakeholders here. We have railway users, we have media buyers, we have businesses. How can we create a platform where everybody can play and everybody can grow? And when we have technology, and it's just not about information, how can we be useful to them? How can we make railway stations safer? How can we think? So IoT plays an important part. IoT is, I think, an emerging concept. It has much more. It will have very deeper impact on every aspect of our work and life. And last, I'll come to the API story. I think this is less understood in India somehow, and I think it's less understood even in the railways, which we hope we should change. I think if you look at a lot of businesses, if you want to make information cannot exist in siloed IT systems. Information should be available on APIs. You will create layers and layers of businesses which will learn to use those APIs, learn to use the data, and direct them to the relevant people who need it, and then create those use cases. So in my assumption, I think these 4 levers are the levers which are available to us, and if we can judiciously use them, I think we can make a difference. So I was talking about the API success stories. If you look at Uber or Amazon or Expedia, they're all about APIs. If Indian Railways has so much of information to play with, we have the train fare, we have live train tracking, coach position, timetable, seat availability, whatnot, train information, demographic statistics, everything, but that information is lying somewhere else. Somebody else wants it, somebody else can make more sense of it. When these are available on APIs and they're available for an aggregated fashion, I think a lot of magic can come out. So we started here, our journey of digitizing the Indian railway station started with Wi-Fi. And what started as a kind of staying relevant or trying to make an impact kind of project quickly galloped its way. And now we are considered the largest public Wi-Fi network in the world. Every day we have more than 1 million logins, and the usage, and because of the high speed, the usage and user experience is extremely good. We have seen international media writing about it. People, we have seen articles saying that even the Financial Times or other international media saying that comparing the internet speed in our railway stations in London and New York, and they're saying, oh, this is still the best. We are still not yet there. So actually, because we have this ability to be digital and in the railway station, we are saying, how can we improve the passenger experience? And there are a variety of stages how a passenger moves in the thing, and how digital and how platforms can change this. So when we want to move into a digital passenger experience, look at the size of the opportunity. The numbers keep changing. I saw more impressive numbers here, but this is the kind of annual travelers we have. And we have enough number of people who meet and greet them. The number is actually much more from a railway user perspective. We have coverage. We have close to 7,000 stations. We have station Wi-Fi at the discovery and trip planning stage and connectivity stage. We are for the post journey, for feedback, for entertainment and security, we have the VSS. It just planned around 6,000 stations, which RailTel is doing. For the transit, while during the journey, we have this project called Content on Demand. You might have heard about it. It was recently in the news. One of companies based out of Bombay has bagged it. The idea is that people spend at a time in long journeys, and most people have smartphones these days. So what we have is bring your own device and enjoy the content. And I'm sure this is going to radically change the journey experience and offer a very interesting captive audience for the advertisers and for content engagers. So this content on demand is eventually going to come in all trains and stations. They have the railway display network currently planned about in 2,200 stations. So when we talk about the railway station, it is a very different demographic. The airport is one kind of demographic. The railway station is a very different demographic. And it is really India's melting pot. You can see a microcosm of what India represents there with all segments of people there, out there. We have data points again highlighted here. And we feel the RDN and COD can make a difference and engage with the audience who come through these stations. The content on demand, here are a few highlights. Here are some of the trains which we are taking through. I think for sake of time, I'll go back to this project. So this is the project which we have been talking about. And here we are trying to say that, seek to tell a story and visualize an RDN, which is more than a digital OH. And it is possible because there's so many levers which we can use. So it is many things. Today, if you see, there is an opportunity when we say digital and people, the large internet companies which are dominant in this area, they offer a highly personalized version of you, of people for the advertisers. Now, this worked very well in this period, but in my opinion, this has reached its peak. Because I think very strong laws in Europe, the GDPR, and even the India's data privacy, digital rights management privacy laws are quite strong. And if people start implementing it in the spirit, you'll soon find that you can't take people's privacy for granted. And therefore, I believe the digital OH medium, the medium like RDN and other mediums, can provide much more handles. Today, why is the digital medium, digital brand platform so engaging to or interesting to the buyers? They are able to give very fairly accurate demographic profiles. But there is an opportunity here to create an aggregated demographic profile. You know these people are traveling to Chandigarh. You know this group is traveling on Shatabdi to Chandigarh. You have a profile there. You know this passenger train is traveling to Meerut, or this is a Rajdhani traveling to Mumbai from Delhi. So you have aggregated profiles. You have the likelihood of passengers. You know where the first class coach is. You know where the sleeper class is, and what kind of information is relevant for whom. And these are the levers which we need to play to get more and more relevant. So actually, one important thing which we need to understand is what works for RDN, and I'm sure works for other digital medium in transit, is we should try to capitalize on people's, what are they really looking for. One interesting thing which turned out when we did a survey for when we started doing Wi-Fi is, what do people want? We just try to do a survey asking them, how many of you want Wi-Fi? Will you pay for it? Do you want it to be free and stuff like that? We got some answers, of course, which eventually led us to do Wi-Fi. But many of us told, first give us information. You know, people told us, give us information. We said, we have information, we have boards, we have everything. But people said they want information. The train travel experience, because of the complexity of the train operations and all that, there's a lot of anxiety when people travel. And people are constantly looking for information, and they keep constantly asking the porter or somebody there, asking them, is the train going to come here? The train changed, the train late, and stuff like that. So this anxiety and the need can be actually met by imagining a very, very relevant and a very context-aware network. This requires a lot of design. It is not about network. This is not about technology. It requires, where are the passengers coming into the railway station from? At different stage in their journey, what information do they need? What happens when they reach here? Okay, they want first, when you're outside the station, you want to know whether you have to take the foot-over bridge or you need to enter the main entrance. Or after that, which platform to get off? What is the train position? At every stage, they need different information. And if we can build a network which is aware of the context, understand there's a lot of design in the way information is served, you will find that the audience will engage with the medium. And this is what we want. Ultimately, as media professionals, that is what we want. And this is one of the levers which we must try and work, which I think people are doing it in different places, in bits and pieces, but a very more scientific and design thinking process needs to be involved here. So we have a platform as a powerful communication channel where people are looking for information. You provide them. There's so many abilities and levers to play with the screen. You can continue giving them information which they need and still engage the audience with other data. And that level of engagement is bound to fetch much more results. We have this platform can be used for live announcements, for emergency and alerts, sitting in the control room. Am I running out of time? Okay. So I'll quickly run through. And what we are saying is we have built more context-aware display network, deep mining analytics. And of course, the first thing is there's a lot of visual clutter in the station. If we can enhance how the station experience is, it's going to make a big difference. And I think because it's digital, you can group them in so many different ways. You can address them in so many different ways, like all cities in UP or all the coastline for warning on the cyclone or anything like that. This kind of addressability is our advertisers are going to love it. Okay, so I'll just draw your attention to this. I think as medium, all of us try to stand out. And here is an opportunity to think more than digital OH. How can we engage with the audience? How to be more relevant to them? How to provide proof of efficacy? Maybe we need to build new metrics together as a team. We need to build metrics to the advertisers on how efficient this medium is, and how to build a curated programmatic thing so that the brand is safe and still you have the ease of programmatic advertising. Thank you.
Any questions from the audience? All right. Just one question, Mr. Raja, is that as you're proposing projects like RDN,
yes,
which will be executed hopefully at a pan-India level,
yes,
are you going to be approaching it at a pan-India level? Are all these projects going to be executed at the divisional level?
I think this is not a green field where we can straight away do something at the pan-India level. There are a lot of networks already existing. So we need to figure out a way in which we can act like a force multiplier to the existing networks and still start building a pan-India network at wherever it is not there. I think a mixed approach would what we think will create more impact.
All right, thank you so much. I think there are great cues for the advertising industry here. Thank you very much for that.